Hello, 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 and welcome back to another episode of the Lions Den podcast. Here to talk about everything Club Leon. Hey guys, sorry we've been very busy. We have, some stuff going on in our lives, but we are back, ready to talk about everything Club Leon. Obviously, international break, so that's over. Liga MX is back, and we're here to talk about kind of just everything from the start of the season to how we were feeling throughout to this point on and kind of seeing how we close out. So Carlos can't join us, but he'll join us next week, and with me is Louis, how are we feeling?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we planned it this way, but I think it worked out to be a pretty good time to take some time away and not record some episodes because this would not have been a fun team to talk about basically in any stretch of the imagination for the longest period of time. Obviously, they fizzled out of Liga MX with a whimper, ever since the news of the Club World Cup coming crashing down. They went out with a whimper after that, could not find their mojo again, went out of Liguilla. Props to them for making Liguilla directly after a while of not doing that. But they fizzled out of that, came back, and you're like, okay, well, we're going to use this start of the Liga MX season and this Leagues Cup to show that, that we're still a force to be reckoned with. And I mean, the absolute opposite happened. I couldn't have imagined a worse showing in Leagues Cup. I mean, I was never I'll say unfortunately. I was fortunate to be able to be there for the first two of those matches, but the performance just did not meet the expectations for making such of an effort to go see that tournament. And the beginning of the Liga MX season hasn't been much better. However, looking at things now, they've stacked some points. They've got 7 points out of their last 3 matches and 2 wins and a draw against, at the time, the super leader in Pachuca, and 2 wins against a very, very good road win against a tough Necaxa side, talented Necaxa side, and then taking care of business at home against Querétaro like you'd expect a team with superior talent that we have to do. And, all of a sudden you look at the table, it's only jornada ocho or nueve, I can't remember. Ocho, I think. You take a look at the table and our position isn't all that bad. We're in 9th, which, as we all know, in the current format of Liga MX is a play-in position. And, you look at the teams ahead of us, you look at the teams behind us, I don't have much faith that many of the teams behind us are going to make a massive leap over us. And I do think that some of the teams in front of us are going to peter out at the end, and we'll have a chance to move up 3 or 4 spots if we can continue to get a little more cohesive in our play and work in the new refuerzos. Looking at where we are now and where we were the last time probably that we recorded a show, which I can't even remember at this point, and looking at where we are now, I think we've kind of
kicked out of the Club World Cup that we were really mad. It was that episode.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to say we've fully gotten our mojo back, but all the negative vibes, all the fuera Berizzo and all that stuff, but you actually take a look at where we are, and it's not that bad. At least that's my perspective. I think, there's plenty of season left to get even better, to work out the kinks, to get a more established style of play from game to game. And, I think there's an opportunity there. I don't know what our ultimate aspirations can be, but for right now, jornada ocho, nueve, about to be nueve, I think, I'm not too upset about where we are. And it's not an absolute chore to think or talk about this team anymore. And that's a big thing. That's a big thing for us, who we get on here and talk about this team, and we never want that to feel like it's something we have to do. So props to the team right now. They're in an okay spot and with a lot of opportunity to get better, and some tough matches coming up, obviously. Having to go out onto 2 straight, very, very tough, long road trips. Obviously, so much of the first part of the season was spent playing at home, that now some of those road matches have to catch up in the schedule. So 2 very, very tough matches coming up. But, I'm excited for what's to come, for sure.
Definitely. Looking back, just a little recap. Obviously, our first match against San Luis, that was a loss. Second match against Guadalajara, we won 1-0. Third match, that was that Cruz Azul match where we lost 4-1. Obviously, like you had mentioned about Leagues Cup. And then Jornada 4, Monterrey, we lost 3-1. We did beat Necaxa, like you mentioned. That was in Jornada Cinco. Then we have Pachuca 1-1 draw. Jornada Siete, which is our 3-0 win against Querétaro. This is Jornada Ocho, and what a way to come back to face Tigres. So,
Yeah, oh yeah.
yeah, I think
It's gonna
I
be
think with
my
this,
I was gonna say it's gonna be my first trip, Liga MX trip this season, and it's gonna be Jornada Ocho. That's unheard of, but it's just my schedule's been so unusually hectic. I haven't been able to make it to the last few, any of the first few road matches of the Liga MX season. So I'm excited for this one.
yeah, because it's Tigres, then Xolos, Tijuana, home to Mazatlan, away at Juarez, home to Toluca, away at Santos, away at Atlas, home to Pumas, away at America, which is our second to last match of the season, and then home to Puebla, which is November 8th. So there's still a lot of potential. I think the only thing that frustrates me is obviously, we weren't in the Club World Cup, which obviously that was our very crazy episode. Um, but teams have the whole summer to plan. And it's always these late dragging transfers. I mean, even like season already started and you think, oh, we're still missing a couple of players, and then they slowly start coming in, and it's just a bit frustrating. Because it's like, you're slowly adding these players. Obviously, it was the Jordi, the Platano back, and then we got Isma, and but it's like, oh, if we would have actually had all of them, all at one
Yeah.
point, have a proper preseason to properly like be able to judge this team and judge Berizzo from the very beginning. It's kind of like just slowly, adding players, and that's like, well, how much can we judge from that?
Right. Well, in fairness, this season, especially this offseason in particular, I don't know why, but it seems like all the teams are kind of in that boat. Teams are still adding players as we speak up through the end of this week. I mean, you're still
Yeah,
seeing announcements. It's going to be Jornada Ocho, Gary, and you're still seeing announcements
yeah.
of big names actually for a few different teams. At least coming from respected European clubs, coming into places. I think I don't remember who exactly, but Monterrey and mentioned somebody today. I think Pumas did too.
Oh, it was
Um,
Anthony Marcial. They're bringing
yeah,
him
yeah,
on
yeah.
to Rayados.
Yeah, and there were rumors. Even Leon was rumored to be interested in a center back from Vallecano. I think obviously
Mhm.
that ultimately ended up falling through. But I mean, teams are still adding players that they expect to be big contributors up through the end of this week, leading into Jornada Ocho. It just seems like things are happening later than even that they usually do. Um, this particular season. But I agree with you. I mean, how nice would it have been to have, I think everybody, we get a lot, our Directiva gets a lot of flack for waiting till the last minute to bring in guys, or bringing in guys that other teams didn't want, or, bringing in guys late and all that. But to their credit, the guys they did bring in, I thought have pretty much all been difference makers. I really like the youngster Uruguayan Valentin Gautier in the back. I think I like. We haven't seen much of Daniel Arcila, the spiritual successor to James Rodriguez, possibly. Similar playing style, Colombian. Obviously, he had a golazo in his first minutes. Haven't seen much of him since, but. And then obviously Jordi Cortizo, very, very solid when James hasn't been available or hasn't been 100%. I think he's come in and made up for a little bit of that creativity. Still like to see him get on the score sheet eventually.
Louis, can you hear us? Oh no. Okay, I think we lost Louis. Technical difficulties. There you are.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. And I don't know where I don't know. My name got all screwed up again there at the bottom.
It's okay. No worries.
And I don't know where I cut off. I don't know how much you heard of what I was saying.
You're talking about the players like that you have been liking, like Jody Cortizo.
Yeah. Well, I was about to say, I think where I got cut off was where I was about to talk about Ismael. I think he's been, I think he's been one of the signings of Liga MX. It's particularly a hot take either. I think you look at where he is at the top of the goal scoring table, and he's been electric. He has a great knack for goal at that left wing position. Obviously, you'd like to get a little more production from the guys you've been playing at number 9. Obviously, we had to start with Ayon because there was nobody else, and he has done practically nothing. And then you bring in Platano Alvarado, and I still have high hopes for a resurgence for him in Leon. Obviously, he's coming back into a different situation than the one he left, and obviously a very different situation than he was in just most recently in Monterrey. But no, I do have high hopes for him to make an impact as the season goes on. But Ismael Diaz, man, I think that's a really, really good signing. He's been electric in the last few matches. Obviously, the goleador for the Panamanian national team, and I mean, he's brought his A game here. And so I mean, maybe we didn't get any record-breaking transfers this season like we had with James last season, but I'll tell you, that James signing seems to have opened the door for a lot of European signings that you wouldn't have expected all across the league. And I mean, we'll see if that continues over the next few seasons. I don't know if they're finally breaking out the checkbooks for these guys, or if these guys are really interested in coming to play in Mexico. I don't know what it is, but yeah. So again, it would have been nice to get maybe one more, I don't know, either a striker or a center back or somebody this last final week before the window closes, like some of these other teams have done. But at the same time, I also have a lot higher hopes for the squad that we do have than I would have when the season first started.
Yeah. So I was gonna go through all the new players for Leon this season, but first let's talk about Oscar Garcia, the goalkeeper. So what has been your honest opinion about Oscar Garcia? Obviously on the bench there's Alfonso Blanco, there's Oscar Jimenez, but I really do like Garcia, and I see that he has potential.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's hyperbole to say that this is the best goalkeeping that we've seen since Prime Cota. Like, it's way better than. I mean, I have way more trust in this kid who's played 5 matches or whatever it is at first division level. I have way more trust in him than either of the other 2 goalkeepers on the roster, over either Jimenez or, of course, Poncho. I guess they're trying to work Poncho back in. I mean, just to have him available in case of an emergency, I suppose. But this is Gato Garcia's job to lose at this point. And what an incredible advantage it is to have not just a Mexicano, but a youngster at your goalkeeper position and locking it down. Obviously, if we haven't already knocked out all of the required minutes for juveniles, we're about to. We will knock them out by this next jornada, which is crazy. And he, having a goalkeeper be a Mexicano, that just means, I mean, not that we have two NFM spots available that it looks like we're not going to fill, so it's not that big of a deal. But I mean, having someone on the pitch who's going to play all 90 minutes every single time and doesn't take up an NFM spot. I mean, in today's Liga MX, that is such a huge boon. So yeah, I have nothing but praise for him. He's had a couple of shaky moments, but I mean, even the best of the best will have those. He hasn't had any osos, I don't think. He hasn't had any he hasn't had anything where you're like, that error cost us the match. He's got to be benched. Nothing of the sort. So yeah, that's been a very, very pleasant surprise, and it's just nice to see that, our cantera, while certainly not as applauded as some others like Pachuca, of course, Atlas, or even Chivas, although not so much anymore. It's nice to know that our cantera can actually produce talent for Primera División, who's they can make their debut with the first division squad and contribute, because it seems like it. We've had a few, but especially outside of the contención position, like outside of Fidel and in his best moments, Jefecito, outside of the and others, Leo Lopez, there've been a few. Mostly, if they haven't been contenciones, they haven't had much of a shot of contributing at in first division. And so it's nice to see. Who knew that we had this goalkeeper prospect in our back pocket, and he's taken his opportunity and run with it. And I feel like he could be. Unless he gets sold off to Europe or something, I feel like he could be our goalkeeper for a long, long time.
Yeah, I'm very happy for him. 22 years old. Obviously, I think the other Liga MX clubs have debuted their goalies, and they're much younger. They're 18, 17. And I mean, I think for a goalkeeper, you really do need a tiny bit more. So I think Oscar Garcia is 22 years old. I think it's a perfect age. I think it was the Pumas that debuted a 16, 17-year-old. I mean, osos, like terrible. So, it is nice to see a young goalkeeper, Mexican, and that he is doing well. So hopefully he will only go up from here. Actually, before we talk about additions, let's talk about departures. Obviously, Adonis Frias, which he had been rumored to leave. Clubs were after him, but nunca. It was nothing, legit until this offer came in. And it was really sad to see him go. I think I really, really liked him. Obviously, it was unfortunate, the injuries and his health issues he had last season, which kept him off the field. And I wish maybe his story would have ended a bit different this season. And the way he left was kind of like, oh, okay, I guess. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he was not a figura, but he was certainly a referente especially in his first couple of seasons. I mean, obviously he's a center back, but he's got a knack for goal. He's a good free kick taker. He's taken a few penalties, and obviously he's gotten some goals on set pieces. I'll always remember his go-ahead goal against Tigres. Talking about Tigres, his go-ahead goal against Tigres in leg 2 of the CONCACAF semifinal. Our dear friend Javi was there with me. That was probably one of the goals we cheered for the loudest out of all the matches we went to. And just a class act. He just, if it wasn't an injury, it was an illness, and he couldn't get healthy enough to be the force that he was to begin with. I mean, he was an titular indiscutible, one of the better center backs in the league, most well-rounded young center backs in the league. When he first came, and then once he went out for his first extended injury or illness, whatever it was, he's struggled ever since to get that consistency back. And that happens, and the ciclos come to an end. I feel like that's what it was for him. No hard feelings. Sometimes ciclos end and there's plenty of hard feelings. Sometimes ciclos weren't meant to end when they did, but they have to because a player forces their way out. I don't get the impression he forced his way out. I think he would have played out the rest of the season and given his best effort if he had been retained. But, maybe a cambio de aires will be good for him. Definitely a referente de época, big part of that CONCACAF winning side. And he'll be missed. Luckily, I do have high hopes for the person who replaced him, who we'll get to in a minute, Gautier. But sad to see Adonis go, for sure.
So next, what about Jonder Cádiz? Obviously, he went to Pachuca, which was a kind of a shocker, just the team that he went to. I thought he at least could have gone to, I don't know, someone else instead of Pachuca. So, do we miss him, Louis, or are we okay?
TBA, because he would go on these runs and he would score 3 or 4 goals in a couple of matches, and you look like, oh, this guy's really got a nose for goal. I mean, he's going to win almost every aerial duel because he's so tall, and doesn't have the greatest punteria, but this guy can go on a tear and get you into Liguilla almost single-handedly. But then he'll have these droughts, I think it should be mentioned that I think his departure was, I mean, if we're to believe all the reporting, was under the impression that Alemão, who that's a whole completely other
That's a whole other
drama
story. It's such a
situation
messy
story,
story and how it
messy
concluded.
story. But the idea originally was that Alemão was supposed to be for Club Leon. He was not supposed to be for Pachuca, and I still don't understand why. They can try to explain it to me any number of ways. I still don't really understand why that had to be the way it was. It doesn't matter anymore. It's a moot point. Alemão is not in Mexico anymore. He was in Mexico for all of a month. But he was originally meant for Leon, and so if he was there, then Jonder was expendable.
Yeah.
And he could go to Pachuca where he would be a complementary piece because obviously they already have Rondon. They don't have Rondon anymore. I take that back. He replaced Rondon. He replaced his countryman Rondon. But they still have, that team has a lot more attacking talent, a lot more danger up front where Jonder doesn't have to be the man. So in that sense, the move made a little bit of sense to me. I loved Jonder while he was here, but he would just disappear for far too long, far too often. And he would start off looking like he was going to be the goleador del torneo, and then he just wouldn't be. So I think, if we think back to when Plátano and Jonder were both members of Club Leon, back in Jonder's first season, Plátano was still here. And Jonder started out as the titular indiscutible at the number 9, and eventually Plátano took his job from him. Plátano was more regular. Plátano was more, he had more of, I guess it was Bava at that time. He had Bava's trust more than Jonder did. And Plátano outplayed him so much that Monterrey wanted him back a season later. So if Plátano can get comfortable again and work himself into the system and be a little bit more clinical, he's a different kind of striker than Jonder. He's not going to win many aerial duels. He's pretty short. But I think he's better. I think he's a little better with his feet, and he's a little better with his movement. So I say TBA because it kind of depends on how Plátano performs. If he becomes, a real threat like he was at times in his first stint here, then we're going to be saying Jonder who,
Yeah, I think we've had moments like that in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Nico Fonseca almost left, and I was pretty upset about that because I was like, no, I think he has a lot of potential and he brings a lot to the team. And I thought, oh my God, if he leaves, who's going to fill that gap?
That would have been a tough loss. And it's a weird situation because you felt like he wanted to take the opportunity with Valencia. I mean, who wouldn't? That's a top tier La Liga club. I mean, it's not like going down to second division of Brazil, but we can get into that in a minute. But I mean, that would have been if you would have seen the field, I don't really know. Full disclosure, I am a Valencia fan myself, so I wouldn't have minded seeing him play in that squad if they were going to give him minutes. Who knows? It's a much more stacked roster than Leon has, obviously. Yeah. But he seems to be being a good sport about it. The deal couldn't go through. He's still here. He's got to finish out this season at least. Looking like, because they could have looked for another deal for him, but they didn't. So I guess the plan is to keep him at least till the end of the season. And he has his detractors. There's people out there who don't seem to understand what he brings to the table, but I think he's very, very solid. And we didn't have an obvious successor for him if he were to leave. Maybe they would have brought somebody in if he had left, but we don't know that. So I'm glad he's staying, and I'm glad he's soldiering on. And even if this isn't his ideal situation, I guess, which you can understand. We all know the stories about some of the things that have happened with him while being a Leon player, while living in the city, and all of that. So one can understand, but it's good to see him continuing to be a contributor.
Who else am I missing?
Well, the one I hinted at when I said the second division of Brazil was Speed Mendoza.
Speedy. That one hurt because it just vanished out of nowhere. No goodbye. No see you guys later. No that broke me.
I'll tell you, It hurts a lot less now because we have Isma, and I think he's better. I think he's better than Speed Mendoza. If I'm being honest with you, they play the same position, and I think Ismael is better. Um, Speed was good, but he was never threatening to be a top scorer in the league. He would get his. He had some important goals. He would get his here and there, but just he's a globetrotter. That's been the story of his career. He hops around. He doesn't stay. He gets antsy, and he doesn't stay at one place for too long. It seems to me like if he could have found some stability with even one club he's ever been a part of, he's not a young player anymore. He's getting to be 33, 34, and clubs around the world still want his services because he is obviously a very, very talented player, but he gets frustrated, he gets antsy. He seems like a little bit of a head case to me, as judged by kicking a ball as hard as he could towards the Rayados bench in a game that didn't matter, and getting suspended for the first 4 matches of the following season. I mean, that's those are things head cases do. Also, things head cases do are going to like 8 clubs in 5 years or whatever it was. I don't know how many it was, but he has a reputation for not staying too long in any one place. But he'll always be there. He'll always get work because he is that talented. But I think it hurt at the time because we didn't have anyone to replace him right at that moment. And what are we going to do? That's a big position, and that's a lot of production that we're going to have to replace, and limited time to do it. Then shortly thereafter, we get the news that the goleador de la Copa de Oro is going to join our team, and now I think we're in a better place than we were before he left. But at the time, it was a little dicey for sure.
Yeah, it was very sad. Am I missing anybody else? Guerra got loaned out, did he?
Guerra, did he get loaned out or did they just cast him off?
Oh,
I don't remember.
I was like, he didn't go to Pachuca, did he? I'm trying to think.
Guerra did not. No, Guerra went to Puebla, I think. Guerra went to Puebla.
Was it Puebla? I think
Guerra went to Puebla. I don't know if it was a loan or a sale, but he went to Puebla. And I remember in their first match, obviously Puebla isn't going to aspire to much of anything this season, like they very rarely do. But I remember Edgar Guerra had a really, really good first game with them, and I'm like, where was this when he was with us? Yeah.
Okay, now looking at the roster, let's see. Obviously, we have Valentin Gautier, we have Paulo Medina. Let's see, Nene Beltran, obviously Daniel Arcila, like you mentioned, Rory Cortizo, Miguel Rodriguez, Isma Diaz, and obviously Funes Mori and Platano Alvarado. Funes Mori to me was a really surprise because I was just like, what? Really?
Yeah,
why?
I was surprised. Well, when I said whether, I guess I should have. He hasn't been getting a ton of minutes lately. I mean, he debuted well in Leagues Cup against Montreal. Obviously, that game fizzled out, but he had a nice debut with a very nice goal. And that actually he debuted before that. He debuted against Cruz Azul and had a nice goal in that one. Also, his first couple matches were good, but you kind of got the feeling he was going off adrenaline because obviously he's not entirely match fit, and even when he is match fit, he's some might call him a tortuga. He's not the fastest player. He's not gonna outrun you. You have to deliver him a perfect ball, or he's not really gonna do much for you.
Yeah.
But I guess I could do a little caveat with what I was saying before about Platano and Jonder. If Funes Mori can find a way to contribute too, then we'll miss Jonder even less. Maybe we already have our number 9s up front. People were on all the pages and everything. People were complaining this last week where people are making other teams are making signings. Bring us another 9 to pair with Platano. Maybe that 9 is already on the roster. It just doesn't seem like it right now. It seems like Funes Mori is going to take the entire season just to get match fit, and then it's going to be the off season again. He's not a spring chicken anymore. Although I'll say this, I hope he plays against Tigres because they hate him in that stadium, and he would love nothing more than to score against Tigres. So I hope he plays. I hope he plays in that match.
True. I think my red flag was obviously Funes Mori coming from Pumas, and the minutes that he got versus his effectiveness on the field, and the goals just didn't match up. So obviously, ended up letting him go. Never in a million years would I thought, oh, Leon's gonna pick Miss Mori up, especially in the form that he came. So yeah, I'm still kind of iffy. I think, like you said, I mean, he has to be match fit, but you always have to be match fit. That's just the lifestyle of a soccer player. It's like it's just
Well, yeah, when you get to a certain age, though, like he was without a team for the entire offseason with, uncertain future. It's not like he wasn't working out and keeping himself fit during the offseason, but there's only so much you can do when you're not with a club. And especially when you get to he's going to be 30, he's 34, going to be 35. I don't know.
I know
he's
Ramos
up
didn't
there.
take that long to get match fit
Well,
ready.
Ramos
I know
is
Ramsey did. He took forever and to get match ready. Aaron
Ramos is a
Ramsey.
unicorn, Cody. Ramos is not. You can't compare many other players in the world to Ramos. He's just built different.
No, he's amazing. I love
Yeah,
Ramos. That's
yeah,
another story.
yeah.
Let's see. So, just looking at the last lineup that we had Garcia, we had Sebastian Santos, Barreiro, Belon, Reyes. So, just looking at that, obviously there was the comeback of Belon, which got a lot of praise. So, I think he did
Yeah.
pretty well. I've always liked him. It's just he has some really good highs and then he has some lows and then he resurfaces and then he goes away. So, I was very happy to see him back and like the Belon we know.
Yeah, like the Belon who was brought over by Paiva. That's like the last relic of the short-lived Paiva regime was Paul Belon. I bring this up every so often, but they played a preseason friendly against Leones Negros, which was his previous team. And Paiva liked what he saw and brought him over, and Belon was like, playing Primera, where do I sign? And ever since then, he's had some altibajos. I think he's had some nice moments lately. The past couple seasons, when he's gotten minutes, he hasn't made the most of them. But I mean, this was an opportunity to show that he deserves to get some minutes. I think Gautier has mostly taken that spot from him. And if we're not going to have Adonis anymore, I think the next best option would usually be Gautier. Obviously, Gautier was suspended the last match against Querétaro, which is why Belon got those minutes.
Yeah.
But now, I mean, if Belon is forcing there to be a conversation, then he's done his job. That's good. That's a good thing. And obviously, without Adonis, we're one center back depth less deep. And so it's nice to know he can fill in. Again, it's Querétaro. We can't get too excited considering the competition we played. He did not face off against top tier attacking talent in that back line, but still, he's been given moments before and hasn't taken advantage of them. So that was very, very promising to see for sure. We definitely have. Maybe we're more deeper at that position than we thought we were.
Definitely. Next was Fonseca, Echeverria, James, Nene, Diaz, and Platano. James, there was a whole thing about James. Obviously, he was out, and then he came back. And then obviously, what he's done with Colombia these past days, I'm sure he's kind of coming back with a very positive momentum. So I'm hoping it just kind of pushes us
but
through.
Will it translate? That's always been the question with him.
That's always the question. But I'm like,
his entire career, like he goes from being the best player in the Copa America, comes to a club, kind of half efforts it, kind of goes at medio gas, and you're like, where was the player from the Copa America? So what I don't want is for us to be asking, he's coming back now, where is the player from the qualifiers? Because he was the best player in the CONMEBOL qualifiers, put the team on his back, carried them to the promised land. Are we going to get anything close to that player? It almost seems futile to ask for that player because it's been so long. The guy's not a spring chicken anymore. He's 34. And every time he comes back from an amazing showing with Colombia, he gets back to his club and leaves a lot to be desired. Is this going to be the time that's different? Does he want – I mean, there's been also chatter with him. Are they going to renew him? Does he want to stay? Is he happy here? Because it seems like he kind of is.
I was gonna say, it seems like he's happy. Like, he likes the lifestyle. He likes the vibe. Yeah. He likes the city. Like, I don't see him with eagerness of leaving unless like an offer comes of something really, really exciting. And he's like, okay, but I could easily see
I
him
don't think that's
staying.
happening for him at this point in his career. I think the situation he's in. I don't want to be like, hey, James, it's us or nobody, but like, I think it's a pretty good situation for him. He's not far from Colombia. Uh, but we'll see if after this World Cup he'll get capped again. We'll see. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's kind of he sat on the field in Barranquilla in the last home qualifier that he played, and it was kind of uncertain as to whether he was going to be that was his last time or not. So we'll see. I think I froze again. Did I freeze? Oh no.
I think you froze, but then I think
Did I freeze for a second?
technical difficulties. Yeah, you did. But I also
Okay.
froze because I didn't. Yeah, but no worries.
Oh, yeah. Well, just to finish that thought, this might have been his last go around with Colombia, but it's still his home country. He's going to want to be close to Colombia for as long as he keeps playing. And, I think Leon provides him, like you were saying, the style of life is similar to what he's used to in Colombia. I mean, obviously he is a star and a very, very wealthy star. And so, he spends a lot of his fecha FIFAs or not fecha FIFAs, but off seasons. Whenever he has time off, he's in places like Miami and LA and places like that. He's not necessarily, but he's close to those places too. So, and he's in a situation where they really, really build the attack around him when he's available, and obviously the fans love him. And there's questions about, there's always been questions about his buy-in with any club that he's ever been at. But I mean, he's got a pretty good situation here. What I would hate to see is one of the bigger spending Liga MX clubs try to lap him up. There's been rumors about Monterrey, and I would hate to see that. Reunite him with Ramos. I would not want to see that.
Yeah, that would be the worst thing possible, which tends to happen.
Yeah,
it's on our players or coaches. Not to say.
Well, the best exposure you can get for a big Liga MX contract is by playing for a different Liga MX team. It happens all the time with Necaxa and clubs like that. I mean, that's basically Necaxa's business model. They bring in players that people aren't looking at. They show them they can be stars, and then they get bought up for a huge return by the Monterreys and the Tigres and the Americas and so on and so forth. Even Leon occasionally. Yeah.
Alrighty. So let's go ahead and do our predictions.
Yeah.
For this Tigres match. So, Louis, you be attending?
I will be there. I got my tickets already. Tigres, you are one of the clubs I most despise, but I got to hand it to you. You're the only one that offers a ticket resale marketplace within the Boleto Mobile application, which makes it really easy because you're also one of the only stadiums that's consistently completely sold out. So you make it very easy. Yes, there's a little bit of an upcharge, obviously, but you make it pretty easy for someone who's not one of your season ticket holders to buy tickets for your matches. At least, ones like Leon that aren't going to be. It's not a Clásico or anything like that. Although, it's definitely been a heated rivalry in the past few years. There've been some.
It's always been like that.
There've been some. It's not a Clásico. Well, on the record. This is not a Clásico.
It's
not a
been
Clásico.
Heated. Physical.
Well, it just always seems to work out, whether it be in Liguilla or in CONCACAF. Like we've never played Rayados in a Liguilla or in CONCACAF, but we've played Tigres like over both of them like 4 times in the last decade or whatever. And so it gets a little. I know they don't like us and we don't like them, and it's always it's a match. Also, it's of particular significance to me because I used to live in Monterrey, and my first employer in Mexico was the Universidad Autónoma de Nuevo León, the team under whose banner plays Tigres, obviously. So I never liked them. They were never even. I never was drawn to them in any way. I never liked that team. Didn't like anything about them. But there's that connection. So whenever I go up there. It's a little bit of a personal homecoming for me in a way because I used to live up there and I know that campus so well and the place and the stadium and all that stuff. So yeah, so my first away day in Liga MX this season. I'm excited. If we remember back to the last time we played up there, it was a very controversial 2-2 draw in a game that Leon dominated. They had a Platano goal. Well, he scored the opener, and then he went for his brace, got it, and then they wiped it off because of a foul in the run up, like way back in the build up out of the backfield, which is the times you're like, is VAR really helping or hurting? You know, because that's not what it was intended for. It was not to wipe plays like that off the board. But it's kind of been hit or miss over the years going up there. Obviously, that is a very tough place for any away team to win. They have a great home field advantage. But Leon going up there, they've either held their own, you know, valiantly, or they've gotten just boat raced. It's usually one or the other. It's never like an ugly, hard fought, you know, 1-1 with a couple of trash goals. It's, you know, both sides struggling to get it. Either both sides are playing at full strength, or Tigres is dominating. I feel like that's how it's been every time we've gone up there. Been fortunate to see a couple of wins by Leon up there, and you know, a couple of solid first legs in eliminatorias. I don't know. Coming out of Fecha FIFA, I really don't know what to expect. You know, obviously we didn't talk about the friendly that they played in Chicago against Chivas. Obviously, I don't know if you watched that, Cuddy. Leon looked good in that match. Yes, but they lost at the last second after they had taken out all of the regulars. And Chivas, you know, wanting to get a win for what was mostly their fans, they put in some of their regulars at the end while Leon took theirs off. And so they started, if they had kept the regulars in for longer, they probably would have won easily. But they looked pretty good. Obviously, that wasn't the full roster. None of the seleccionados were there. But yeah, I mean, is James going to start? Is he going to even make the trip? Is he fit? Is he going to go? Are they going to be super careful with him? Are they going to handle him with kid gloves? Are they going to leave him on the bench and bring him in for the?
If he didn't play that match.
You know, he seems like this seems like a moment where he should really start and take the bull by the horns from the beginning of the match, because he's not. I mean, he just played in qualifiers for his country. He is not shaken by the Volcan or by Tigres or their fans or anything. He's not the kind of player who would give any mind to that. So I hope he plays, I hope he starts, and I hope he gives us something resembling what he did in with Colombia. You know, we'll see. If he is anything close to that player, the sky's the limit for this club. Not just on Saturday, but in general, this whole season. If he can be that player, I mean, he just makes no player in the league when he's on. It makes things so much easier for his teammates than James does. Maybe Ramos, but you know, those are the two. And so, yeah, I don't know what to expect. Is everybody fit? Is everybody healthy? Are we going to go out and, you know, and really try to take this match from the opening whistle? Are we going to try to stick it to them right away so that they're never comfortable? Also, like, how are Tigres looking? Are they able to field the full squad? I don't really know their injury report. I mean, is Gignac still a thing? I don't really know. Like, obviously he's killed us on many occasions, but he's geriatric now. He's 40, you know, and now, well, like, how are these guys still playing? I don't get it. So it could go any number of ways, but I think it's going to be a good match. I think it's going to be a hard fought match, and somehow I think Leon's going to get out of there with a 1-0. The two times that they won there before, it has been a 1-0. The last time was in 2022, an own goal put us over the line. And I think I don't know if it's going to be an own goal again. No, I think it's going to maybe Isma will get on the score sheet again. I think he'll be up for this match too. Yeah, I think we get out of the Volcan with a 1-0, and I think it's going to be a good match. And the few Leon fans that will be there will go home happy.
Yeah, I'm tempted to say a draw. I'm tempted to say 1-1. I don't know. I'm just a hopeless romantic with my team. So let's just say a 2-1. I would be so happy, so stuck with a 2-1. Agreeing with
Totally.
everything you have said. I mean, it's a It's a very hostile environment. Obviously, those fans know how to fill that stadium, know how to play their part. So yeah, I mean, if we draw, I mean, at least it's not a loss. But I would be really happy with a 2-1. I think that could be a good turning point.
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of this is the midpoint of the season. This is kind of a tipping point. Like if they go up there and get 3 points, we're 3 points behind Tigres in the standings right now. We're in ninth.
Yeah.
They're in, I think, fourth. I mean, we'd have to completely destroy them on goal difference to pass them in the standings. But I mean, we could tie them on points with a win. That's something important on the line in Jornada Ocho. And getting 3 points up there. That's America obviously, but those two are probably our toughest road games left in the season. We got Cholos coming up. They're fading fast. I got no faith in them. Obviously, it's not going to be an easy match either. We'll get to that next week. But yeah, I mean, this could be a huge. If they go up there and get 3 points against their direct rival, in that middle chunk of the table, that's huge, huge. And I hope they see it that way.
So just looking ahead of Jornada Ocho, tomorrow, Necaxa versus Juarez, Mazatlan versus Pumas, Saturday, Pachuca versus Cruz Azul, our Tigres game against León, Atlas against Santos, Toluca against Puebla, and the Clásico América and Chivas Saturday night. Then Sunday, Querétaro Monterrey, and Sunday as well, San Luis Tijuana. So, be a very busy weekend. I think the Canelo fight is also this weekend.
Which one?
The Canelo fight. It's usually tends to
yeah.
be with the Clásico. Like they kind of match them out. But yeah,
I don't get too into boxing, but I wish for the best.
well, I think that is it, Louis. You ready to go?
Yeah, I think this is a pretty good return episode after some months away. Hopefully, it won't be however long it was before we do another episode. We've already got one on the docket for next week. So
yeah,
yeah,
for sure. We'll be back next Monday, talk about everything Club Leon, everything that happened. Hopefully we're in a good mood because positive things happened at this Tigres game. But yeah, so make sure to follow us on all social media. And we'll catch you guys next week here at the Lions Den Podcast.